All right. I hope you're all doing well today. I am Rick from Points Per Reflection, and we are about to check out my SFB, that Scott Fishbowl 15 draft, so I can talk a little bit about the madness. First of all, if you are unfamiliar with SFB 15 scoring, this draft will make no sense to you. Here is a rules snapshot. Volume is king. Tight ends get an extra point per reception, which gives them 3.5 PPR for me in a sleeper league. Carries are worth half a point. First downs earn a point. 6 points for all touchdowns. It is super flex. There are 11 starters and 11 bench, which makes for a deep league. This is positionless fantasy football, folks. 9 flex, 2 super flex. With all that in mind, let's dive in. Round one was a gaff. I wanted McBride or Allen, and I could have had either at pick two. The best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. I got caught up, missed the first round. Sorry again, fellas. We've made amends and got a pretty nice consolation prize in Jamar Chase. But that did change the rest of my draft as I had to adjust accordingly. The rest of the draft was really a let it come to me and work with the draft I am handed lesson. Round two, I thought to myself, well, I have Chase, so if Burrow comes around, that would be a nice start. The same person who took Allen in one took Burrow in round two. I no longer liked the value of quarterback in round two. So I went with Bucky Irving and could not be happier with that choice. For Irving doubters, the Josh Grizzard promotion speaks to a desire for continuity, not hardline change. When Grizzard was the passing coordinator last year, Bucky had 392 yards receiving. He also averaged 5.4 yards per carry last year on 207 carries. I think he at least moves up to 225 conservatively and at least 250 carries optimistically. I know White is still there, but Bucky has easily shown he's the better back, and the Bucks would be foolish to stop that momentum. So now I have that pesky third round reversal, and I wait again. The third round sees a bunch of wide receivers and running backs go, along with George Kittle. I'm looking at QBs and thinking, I want someone with some running. And I go ahead and make Bo Nix quarterback 7 in the draft. Now I feel like I already started nice in the volume is king situation with Irving and Chase, but we can't have enough volume in this. So I really like snagging Chuba in the fourth. Up to this point, I am feeling like the lineup is pretty much what would be expected. I'm not into Laporta as much as some, and I know I can hit some tight ends that I like later. In the fifth round, I made an error and thought I could get Fields in the sixth after the turn to pair with Nix. I was wrong. I should have taken Fields in the fifth. Instead, I took RJ Harvey in the fifth and lost out on Fields. Since the turn saw Fields go, I went ahead and grabbed another up and comer who runs a bit, taking Drake May. Ridley made a lot of sense to me in the seventh round. I like him for volume if Ward can do anything more than Levis, which I and the rest of the world believe he can do. By round eight, I'm really thinking about who is left and how I can make a solid overall roster. I chose to take a third quarterback and take one more off the board from opponents. Enter Jared Goff. Round nine, I still need to work on my starting 11 since I put Goff on my bench. Based on the options and my personal preference, I like Jacoby Myers for volume and opportunity behind Bowers, so I grabbed him. In fact, I have consistently been a roster Jacoby Myers guy, and the last 4 years have seen him with 3 years over 100 targets and one pretty darn close. In order, the last 4 years of targets for Jacoby Myers are 126, 96, 106, 129. He has also had over 800 yards 4 seasons straight, and his best season was last year with 1,027 yards. I finished my quarterbacks in round 10 with Cam Ward. Now I have 4 quarterbacks for bye weeks and flexibility at Superflex. Here is where I start loading up on mid to late round tight ends I think could unsuspectingly rack up points in a league that scores like this. Since I've not yet capitalized on tight end premium scoring, I want to. Welcome to the team, Jake Ferguson. I think he's a little overlooked this year with all the focus on the other weapons in Dallas. CD is still there. We have the arrival of Pickens and Javonte Williams. In 2023, Jake Ferguson finished as tight end 8. Not a great play in 2024, but he did miss 3 games, and Dak only played 8 games. This year figures to at least split the difference, in my opinion, if not optimistically look like 2023. Spin around, and my third year breakout candidate, Marvin Mims, is staring at me. Money, meat mouth. Let's spend a little time breaking down why did Rick take these tight ends over other options the next 3 rounds? Well, I compared the tight ends to the name around them and decided this was the moment to hit some smart tight ends with volume picks. With this scoring, do I want Luther Burden, Christian Kirk, backup running backs like Trey Benson or Jalen Wright? Well, maybe. But I decided to take the tight ends available rather than go that direction. I followed Mims with Zach Ertz, last year's tight end 8, Hunter Henry, last year's tight end 16 with 91 targets, volume, and Mason Taylor. Good word coming out of New York about him. Rookie tight ends often take time to develop, but again, Taylor in this tight end premium volume scoring or backup running backs who may see the ball but will not have nearly as much field time save for injury, or wide receiver 60 whatever. Nah, I go ahead and do that later. That was the reason for those tight ends there, my friends. It was a choice made based on available running backs and wide receivers against the opportunities of these tight ends because of this setup and scoring system. I like Pop Douglas and Wilson on the squad for possible targets, so they get added in 16 and 17. A much more appropriate time, in my opinion, to turn back to wide receivers. Now we're in round 18, and picking is getting slim. We are generally looking at some deep running backs who need someone to fail or get hurt to see any meaningful time, or some occasional third down pass catchers. A guy I see being useful to a team that has a difficult QB situation is Juwan Johnson. He was tight end 19 last year. So, in a tight end premium league, I have last year's tight end 8, 16, 19, a bounce back candidate in Ferguson, and a volume rookie in Mason Taylor. Leaving out Taylor because he is a rookie, these tight ends were 5th, 8th, 10th, and 21st in targets. Targets represent opportunity and volume. If they catch the ball, that's the caveat. Now, the fun stuff, or the strange stuff. I heard the ghosts of Hopkins and Cooper calling me in 19 and 20. Hopkins was just for fun. He's been my favorite player outside of a Buffalo Bills uniform his entire career, and I think Coop lands on a squad. How much he contributes wherever he is still a question. Okay. Deontay Johnson in the 21st is a why the heck not pick. There is a world where he gets the wide receiver 2 spot in Cleveland and has tons of opportunity on the field. There is also a parallel world where he throws a fit and sits on a couch for the season. I'm drafting on the former. Round 22, Kendre Miller made too much sense here. This is deep in the draft, and we want to take a chance on guys that could hit and give us that little extra. Like I said, guys who are running back 3s and 4s on their teams are being taken at this point in case they get a sliver of playing time. And the only thing Kendre Miller has done wrong is get hurt. He catches, he runs well, he's 23 this year, and he has a very possible road to being the second running back behind Alvin Kamara. This could be a year for him to lift off, and I drafted him hoping so. Generally, I feel like I have too much invested in New England and Denver, but I truly did not draft with that in consideration. I was looking for the best guys at the right times in this draft, and I'll handle the exposure to those 2 teams later. I am confident I can work with it, so I'm not sweating it. Besides, this is a charity league. Let's celebrate fantasy football, do some good for others, and have a great time. That's what I have for you. Leave comments and questions, like this, repost it, whatever you like, and follow us here for awesome fantasy content this year and beyond. Tim and I are ready. We're excited for the season, and we really hope you are too. Much love, best of luck, and long live fantasy football.